Okay, so now we created our pub sub topic, our subscription, we have our Cloud Run service running, and now it's time to actually create that Cloud bucket we've been talking about throughout this whole course. And I'm going to do that in a new window. So we're going to navigate to Cloud Storage. And here there's a bunch of stuff going on. They added a new monitoring dashboard. It's not so new. I'm pretty sure they added it like almost a year ago because I was working at Google Cloud when they did that. But yeah, let me get rid of this. We've been talking about buckets, so I might as well explain what they are. First of all, Google Cloud Storage is basically like a file system. It's not quite exactly like a file system, but I won't go into details because it's not super relevant to this course. But basically, you never store videos and images and text files and artifacts and things like that in databases. Like you don't store that in a database. You'd store that in some type of file system or cloud storage solution. In this case, this is an object store, and the word we use to describe folders in an object store is buckets, because a bucket is actually not quite like a folder, even though it kind of imitates a folder. So we can create a bucket here through the UI if we would like to, but I'm actually going to do that through the CLI. And in case you didn't know, you can actually open up a CLI here when you click on Cloud Shell at the top right. I'm not going to be doing that, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Let me just pretend like we don't have that there. I'm going to go ahead and create the buckets via the CLI, and then we'll come back to the UI and take a look. So back in VS Code, I'm going to go ahead and open a terminal, clear this. And the first bucket we're going to create is the raw videos bucket. We can do that with gsutil. Don't ask me why we can't use gcloud. And we're going to say MB, which stands for make bucket. And the location is going to be US Central 1. We're just going to be using that for pretty much everything. We want this to be private. So the way to do that via the CLI is with this flag, PAP, which stands for Public Access Prevention. So it will not be available to the public, and we will set that to enforced, I believe. And then to actually create the bucket, we add the prefix gs / and the name of our bucket. And let's just make sure we use the exact same name that we wrote inside of our code. I think it's in the storage file. So this is our raw videos bucket. So I'm going to copy that to make sure we don't have any typos. And then I'm going to go ahead and create this bucket. And just like that. Awesome. Now there's one more thing I want to do before I show you like in the UI. And that is we want to, whenever we upload a file to this bucket, we want to send a notification to that pub sub topic that we just created. How can we do that? I'm pretty sure it's only possible via the CLI, which is why I'm kind of showing you these steps on the CLI. At least I couldn't figure out how to do it via the UI. So we're going to do it like this, gsutil notification create for this topic. And we're going to get the topic name, which I believe was video uploads topic. I hope I don't have a typo. And the format we want is going to be JSON, so we can specify that with -f. And we only want a notification for when a video is uploaded, not when a video is deleted or anything like that. So we can specify this object underscore finalize. This means this event, this notification will only be sent when a video is uploaded. And again, I'm not like making this up. I didn't just guess this. You can read more about this in like the documentation if you Google this or Google this command itself. And we want this notification to be created for the bucket that we just created, which is the NeetCode YouTube raw videos bucket. So let's enter that. And it looks like we were successful. We created that notification. Awesome. And actually one more thing before we head into the UI, we might as well create the other bucket as well, which is the processed videos bucket. And it will be in the same location, US Central 1, but in this case, we don't have to specify public access prevention because the processed videos bucket is going to be public. So here we're going to specify the name, which let's just copy and paste it from here. It's going to be NeetCode YouTube processed videos. That's the name of the bucket. Remember, yours probably can't be the exact same because these have to be globally unique. So I'm going to create this. Hopefully it works. Cool. Now let's head into the UI and see what we created. So I'm back here. We can refresh the page, but you can also just refresh from here without reloading the entire page. So awesome. Looks like we created the buckets. They're in the same region. And when you look at the public access, it's exactly what we want. Raw videos is non-public. Process videos is public, but even that is subject to access controls, which is why in the code, let me show you real quick. In our storage code, when I scroll down to upload processed video, after we upload the video to the bucket, we also have to specify that we want that file to be public. So remember, this line is pretty important. We are specifying that a file uploaded to that bucket is now public because it's not necessarily public by default. Okay, back to the UI. Now is for the moment of truth. We have our buckets set up. We have the notifications in theory being sent to the topic, which is going to pass the message to the subscription, and the subscription is going to make a post request to our Cloud Run service. So let's test it out, and we're going to do that by uploading a file to this bucket. But before I actually show you that, let me tease you a little bit and show you in our video processing service, the logs. The logs is probably like one of the most important things that you're going to look at for a running service. Let's just see that our service started up correctly. When we created the service, we run it with Node executing the runnable file. So that works. And it looks like it started up correctly. And then we created that directory, raw videos, and then we created the local directory, process videos, and then we started our service running on, in this case, port 8080. We did not specify that port, remember? When you go back to our code, we ran it like this. In our index.ts file, we started the service like this, process.environment port. So Cloud Run by default started our service on port 8080 because we set it to 3000. If this is undefined, but it wasn't undefined, Cloud Run set it to 8080. And I think that's pretty much all of the logs we have because there haven't really been any invocations for this service quite yet. So now I'm a little bit nervous. I'm hoping that things do work. So let's go into our raw videos bucket and upload a file. Okay, so I just uploaded the NeetCode intro video and it is now uploading. And this part should definitely work. Like uploading files is pretty straightforward. And we'll see, was it able to send the notification to PubSub, and is PubSub able to invoke our service? Because if it is, in a couple minutes, or maybe even less than that, we should see the processed video in the processed videos bucket. So I'm going to click this and whoa, we actually did it and it happened pretty quickly. So I'm taking a sigh of relief, even though I planned all of this out. To be honest, you never know what kind of errors you're going to encounter, what kind of like permissions errors. So it looks like the process video was uploaded to this bucket successfully. It feels so good when things are working end to end, but I'm not done yet. I'm going to show you the logs and show you a bit of the metrics on how we know that this actually did execute correctly. But let me just quickly show you the process video, and it is public to the internet. So I think if you copy this URL, it should download the video. So I guess I'll do that real quick. Oh, that was actually the wrong URL. It's going to be this URL. And yeah, that downloaded it, and let me watch that video. And yep, you can see the resolution is pretty dog water. So it was successful in converting it to 360p. So we confirm that. Now heading over to the logs of our service here. Let's see if there are some new logs. And we might even have to refresh, but scrolling down, it looks like actually the directory creation happened twice. It just happened a minute ago, and it also happened a few hours ago as well. The reason is because remember, Cloud Run is auto scaling. When it scaled down to 0 instances, it had to then restart itself and had to recreate those directories. And then it started back on port 8080, and we got our logs. It looks like it was successful in downloading the video to the raw videos directory, and we processed the video successfully, and then we uploaded the video to the bucket. And not only that, but we also cleaned up. We deleted the files from the local system. Beautiful. Things are working as we expect. Now I'm going to take a quick look at the metrics, and you'll see we had a request. We might have to refresh this. This can be a bit stale, so I'm going to refresh. Sometimes this can be a bit delayed, but we know for sure that we were able to successfully receive a request just a minute ago, about at like 6:30. And this looks like the metrics haven't quite loaded for that yet, but no matter. Let's head into PubSub and let's see the metrics for our subscription here. Scrolling down and actually zooming out a tad bit, you can see that it looks like we have an unacknowledged message. I'm not sure what that's about because we do know for sure that the message was delivered correctly. So I'm a bit curious what's going on here. It could again just be delayed a bit. Let's head into our topic though. We know for sure our topic does deliver the message to the subscription. And if we scroll down, you can kind of see that. It looks like a publish message had occurred here. And average number of messages per batch, yeah, it was just a single message so far. And yeah, there's some other metrics you can see here, but they're not super significant. I think we pretty much got what we were looking for. Like the most significant thing you're going to want to take a look at are probably the runtime logs for your actual service that's running. Because if this service rejected the message that was delivered by PubSub here, we would be able to filter these logs for an error or at least a warning. And then we would have seen an an error within these logs, but we didn't. We only saw a single request being made, and that request was successful. So this was probably the hardest part of the course. I like to start with the hardest part first. So going forward, we will kind of be building more on the UI side. But this was definitely the fun part for me, and I hope you enjoyed this as well. Oh, and quickly heading back into the metrics for our subscription, yeah, we can see that it actually was just delayed a bit because it looks like we had an unacknowledged message for a couple seconds, but that message, of course, was delivered, and now we have 0 unacknowledged messages. That's good because you don't want unacknowledged messages. But I'm going to go ahead and cut the video there. Again, I hope you found this useful.